pleasure to have each one of you with us today. At IIM Kashipur, we are honored to host distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, and our brightest students for a truly special occasion. This gathering is a confluence of ideas, insights, and experience, a true Sangam, where diverse perspectives need to explore the evolving dimensions of a work from a 360-degree lens. The theme for this year, Work 360, captures the essence of what it means to thrive in a world where workspaces, workforce dynamics, and work ethics are in continuous evolution. From changing leadership styles to rise of DEI, that is diversity, equality, and inclusion. From remote and hybrid models to emotional intelligence and talent mobility, we aim to explore it all. Our esteemed panelists for this event are, first of all, Ms. Nidhi Bhatt, Lead Talent Acquisition and Campus Relations. Deep experience in employer branding and strategic hiring, Nidhi has led campus initiatives that redefine how early talent connects with vibrant brands like Dira 92. We would like to invite Professor Kunal Ganguly, Professor Dean in Development, to present a welcome bouquet to Ms. Nidhi Bhatt. Ma'am, we would request you to sit. Our next panelist, Mr. Ankit Sharma, Talent Head. Our next panelist, Mr. Vishal Augustya, Country Lead, Consulting India at Fujitsu. Strategic leader with over 2 decades of experience in enabling business transformation through people consulting and leadership development. I would now request Professor Somnath Chakrabarty, Dean Academics, to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Vishal Augustya. Our next panelist, Mr. Suraj Shetty, Head Talent Acquisition Center of Excellence at Kalpataru Group. Suraj has led innovative talent acquisition strategies across sectors and is known for building high-performing talent functions across global teams. We would now request Professor Somnath Chakrabarty, Dean Academics, to present a welcome bouquet to Suraj Shetty. Mr. Ajay Pal Singh, Head of HR Operations at Nivabupa Health Insurance. Ajay is seasoned HR operations leader with deep expertise in building robust systems that align HR strategy with business outcomes. We now invite Professor Deepak Chair Placement to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Ajay Pal Singh. Mr. Akshay Rakshit, HR Business Partner at BMW. Akshay brings a sharp understanding of automotive and luxury industries, contributing significantly to HR transformations and talent engagement. We now invite Professor Deepak Chair Placements to present a welcome bouquet to Mr. Akshay Rakshit. Ms. Ambika Wadhwa, Head People and Culture at Gourmet Investments. Ambika brings a holistic perspective to HR, blending performance, culture, and employee engagement in dynamic world of hospitality and luxury dining. We now invite Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placements, to present a welcome bouquet to Ms. Ambika Wadhwa. Ms. Sandhya Ramesh, General Manager DEI at Godrej Consumer Products. Sandhya is a trailblazer in building inclusive work environments and has been instrumental in mainstreaming DEI as a strategic imperative at Godrej Consumer Products. We now invite Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placements, to present a welcome bouquet to Ms. Sandhya. We now invite Professor Kunal Ganguly, Professor and Dean Development, to present a welcome bouquet to Professor Vaibhav Moria, who will be moderator for today's roundtable conference. To formally open this evening of celebration, it is my honor to introduce the guiding force behind IIM Kashipur, a leader who embodies academic excellence, strategic vision, and a deep commitment to building responsible future leaders. Professor Neeraj Goyal, Director of IIM Kashipur, has over 21 years of experience, including more than 15 years at IIM Lucknow. He holds an MTech degree from IIT Kharagpur and completed his fellowship program in management in strategic management from IIM Lucknow. He brings with him not only a wealth of experience in management, education, and research, but also a passion for creating an ecosystem that blends rigorous academics with real-world impact. Please join me in welcoming the Director of IIM Kashipur. We now invite both the placement chairpersons to present a welcome bouquet to Professor Neeraj Goyal. To throw some light on today's event, I would request Professor Kunal Ganguly to deliver a welcome address.
Our respected director, my faculty colleagues, my dear students, and most important, our distinguished guests. It's a beautiful evening outside, beautiful day, sun shining, but perhaps it is more shining within this room because of the luminaries present today. I take this opportunity to welcome all the distinguished guests today who have taken all the pain to travel to this place and bridge the association between academia and industry. We in IIM Kashipur believe that we should not stay in our ivory tower and have to bridge association, have to corroborate our association with the industry. And we do this through our various academic programs, through seminars, through our meeting like this, and the journey is on. Just to give an example, the way we started 2011 with a modest batch size, and then we have grown today to a size that there are 1,000 plus students in our beautiful campus. We often do our course review and we found that student needs to get more exposure to the realities outside. We make it a point that every course where there are 20 sessions, at least 2 sessions essentially has to be taken by industry. Apart from that, we cut down few of the classroom lectures 5 years back. And then the question was what to do with these hours? Should we release the students? Should they enjoy? Not exactly. We divided them into 3 groups, especially for experiential learning. One group will be working with SMEs, other group will be learning with the exploring the rural potential, and third will be working on the sustainability. So each of this group goes to remote villages of Uttarakhand, working with the self-help groups over there, help them to market their products and services. Through this, they are learning from the field. And that is where theory and practice are going together in IIM Kashipur, because we believe sincerely that when there is something successful in practice, it must be there in theory. And if there is something successful in practice and not in theory, the success can be attributed to luck or God's grace, by the way, both are the same. So we need to marry theory and practice together, and this event, which has been successfully organized by IIM Kashipur students, is one of another feat towards that journey. And this is a very important day because we have so many luminaries today with us on the stage who will be deliberate on the topic with their experiences, with their wisdom. But having said that, we are going back in a very beautiful resort. But whoever is POC for each one of these guests, my request to the student is make sure that they do visit our campus, have a feel of the beautiful campus. Of course, this time they cannot stay there, but of course there's an opportunity, and we invite you to be in the campus maybe 3-4 months afterwards. And I can assure on behalf of IIM Kashipur that carpet of IIM Kashipur will always be red and warm for you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's just a dramatic view.
Renewable energy will get a boost because of this.
Now, we request director to deliver the welcome address for Sangam.
Very good evening to all of you. I did not know that I would be invited to speak here. And as I mentioned, few of you while being formally invited, that I'm just joined this place on 10th of July. This is about 3 weeks back. But I'm really delighted to be there at IIM Kashipur, a beautiful campus, as Mr. Kunal mentioned. So welcome all of you here. Welcome to this event, Sangam. Very beautifully organized by the placement committee, placement chairs, with the guidance of Mr. Kunal, the team development. I hope at the end of this 1.5 2 hours of brainstorming, something substantial will come out, which will be useful for all of you, as well as our students who are eagerly listening, likely to listening to you. As Mr. Kunal mentioned, I also welcome you again. If you have time, I think you can travel to Delhi. There will be very small detour to come to Kashipur and experience our campus. We'll be we'll be very happy to welcome you there. We also know that the industry is going through a major transformation at this point of time. Advent of AI, blockchain, Internet of Things has made potentially damaging as well as opportunistic changes in the industry. At this point of time, it's very important for us as academic institutions to be abreast with what's happening in the industry, what new practices are being emerging, what best practices are being followed there. So it will be a good opportunity for us to also know and be connected with the industry. It will also be a lot of opportunity for you yourself to learn from other industries which you are representing and possibly translate to your organization. Obviously, we look forward to and hopefully we also use this occasion to translate the capabilities and skills which our students have, and most likely would welcome you if you find them good to come here and do it. Thank you very much. Have a nice time. Thank you.
Now we request Professor Somnath Chakraborty to come forward and welcome the Sangam guests and audience.
First question, be prepared. Just looking, our first question goes to you. You are the opening batsman. Okay. And what is the question? New outswing. It's about new gen and what changes you are making.
The faculty colleagues, the very distinguished case, and our very dear students. Good evening to everybody. So this is a very august occasion, an occasion where we get the opportunity to hear from corporate luminaries, to know about the linkage about theory and practice, how really more work can be done on academic front also. I will be eagerly hearing to the discussion and try to find out what cues, signals, if some of this emerge from this discussion, which may help us very significantly in the future to update our program curriculum if any such direction happens, because in academics, in academic institutes, we need to be stay tuned with the progress in basically corporate developments. So if there are some direction signals which are coming up in terms of program content updation, we may have a detailed program review for many of our academic programs in the near future, where both academic and corporate experts are called. So many of these signals or cues we get, then obviously we try to incorporate in those kind of program review process, so that our students are very much corporate ready when they leave our campus at the end of the 2-year tenure, and obviously from day one they can hopefully become very productive to the respective organizations where they are joining, and they can contribute very significantly. Again, thanks to everybody, and basically we hope to and we certainly expect and certainly believe that there will be lot of indications and signals pertaining to this direction that will come up during this interaction process among all the corporate unions. Thank you everybody. Thank you very much.
Let us now begin by watching a short introductory video that showcases the spirit and journey of IIM Kashipur.
The Indian Institute of Management Kashipur is a second generation IIM set up by the Government of India in 2011. In all these years, the institute stands true to its vision and mission. Our vision is to be an institute of eminence that fosters management research and education and develops leaders for creating positive societal impact in a changing world. And the mission of IIM Kashipur is to create and disseminate knowledge through applied and interdisciplinary research and practices in emerging areas of management. IIM Kashipur, a completely student-driven campus, from basement to functional work, from academic to non-academic activities. There is a student body for each discipline. Being a part of such student bodies and event-specific teams, students get first-hand experience of time management, working in a team, situation handling, and managing positive relationships with the administration. We aim to achieve new heights with every new batch of students. We celebrate the ups and downs of the journey of our beloved students and would like to wish them luck for upcoming years.
Today, we are privileged to join by some of the finest minds in HR domain, professionals whose leadership and vision continue to reshape how organizations perceive talent, people, and strategy. They will guide us through the core discussion and help unpack the complexities of Work 360 and deep dive into the evolving landscape of work, workforce, and workplaces. Now, I request Professor Vaibhav Moria, our moderator, to take the discussion forward.
I need help switching it on. Hi, welcome everybody and welcome to all the guests. It's a pleasure to be, sort of hosting you over here. And I think, not only the students, but we faculty members are equally eager to learn from the industry. And, I think so excellent times to be talking to the industry. There's a big transformation happening. We are all dealing with this big monkey in the room that's called uncertainty. But I think so the best innovation and the best, ways ahead also that we've not seen before emerged during such times. And I think so it's exciting to have you guys where you are in the corporate, circles at this time. And to make it more interesting for the younger generation, maybe I'll just start with looking at, Vishal.
Yes, sir.
You're from a Japanese organization, and Japs are known to be tough masters at working, especially for Indians with the way we have our culture, stuff. And equally, I think so Japanese cultures are known to be, can we get a mic working for Vishal, please? So, they are equally known to, be very conservative and certain things culturally oriented at the same time. And yet, I think so they have retained to be at the top of the economy, a small country economy, and, given, the demographics of Japan and the culture of, it's very interesting to see, in what ways are the perspectives, that these younger generation is bringing, even in our households, the discussions are all about Gen Alpha, Gen Zs, and, the problem that you're facing with them. And when they're coming to offices, right? So how is your organization really, seeing their views, and they have these eclectic views on climate, for a person of my generation, those are eclectic. Climate, identity, justice. How are you dealing with it?
Sure.
And then others may also chip in.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you to IIM Kashipur for having me here. I think the topic, the theme for today is also very, very pertinent. There's some. It's okay.
It's quite loud.
Yeah.
You can use that.
Okay, I will try it. As I said, the topic is very, very pertinent in today's world. I think it's not just about business and profit, it's also about people, how we are impacting the future, how we are impacting the society, environment, and eventually the planet as a whole. So thanks for choosing this topic, and I'm sure we will get a lot of perspectives from pretty much diverse industry. I was just thinking, probably after a long, long time, actually, I am coming out of my IT world, and pretty much, there are so many different industries representation that I see. So thanks for that. Coming to the question, I think, yeah, first of all, Japanese are known for their excellence or perfectionist kind of attitude, right? But if I look at how we are structured is, yes, the headquarters is Japan, but we have a concept of think global, act local, and the way our policies are structured, there is a combination of a global structure because things are driven from Japan, but in India you will have different nuances, right? So there are a lot of strategic things that you have to follow, a lot of compliance related things, and the way people behave. So each country will have their own way of looking at things, or people how they look at companies. Now talking about, I think, the point more about how the new gen looks into topics like, I think, sustainability and so on, right? There is a big difference that I'm seeing myself. So I recently completed 25 years in the IT world. Before that, I was in short stints in a couple of marketing companies. What I've seen is, first of all, today's generation, they demand actions. They are not happy just by putting things in your websites or brochures. They will ask questions. That is the first thing. The second thing is, I think pretty much the hierarchy in most of the organizations now is getting more and more flattened, even though there is a structure that you have to maintain. But the new gen, they can reach to the CEO also in very quick time. They don't need to follow their right? So which means you also have to, as leaders, we also have to tune ourselves, the way we are structured, etc. That is one thing. And then there's a lot of focus in terms of our organizations where at global level, we are committed to ensure that all the 17 SDGs they are fully committed to, and we have a lot of goals around net zero and so on, right? So there is, in fact, in all our locations in India, we're doing a lot of work around environment. So environment is one of the pillars that we have within our CSR initiative. And a lot of our new age employees, it's not just new age actually, all generations employees, they actually contribute. And in fact, that is one thing which I've seen helps in terms of also employee engagement, or even, I mean, in HR parlance, I can say improve on your attrition, because they're really involved in some of these activities. They really are not just contributing, they're leading some of these initiatives, and which helps us also in terms of driving the larger business context through them. So I think these are some of the areas where I see a lot of sort of activism is happening in a very positive way. The way we train our managers, who are somewhere in the middle generation, if I may use the word, right from the start, they are aligned to ensure that they understand the new gen nuances, what they expect. Things are changing, right? So their expectations versus this gen expectation is different. How we can really bridge that gap. In fact, I was just telling Sandhya that we recently are now working on generational diversity as a concept. I think in most of the organizations it is limited to gender or maybe the disability side of this. But we have actually 4 generations in our organizations in India, because there is someone who started the organization, so he is just continuing, even though his retirement age has crossed. So we're just discussing about that. So how do you really ensure that all of this work together, the collaboration is there? So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe to John.
Great question. And having that said, primarily the fact that this generation that we are talking about, Gen Z or maybe late millennials as well for that matter, for them, climate, identity, all these things, in my view, are much more than just CSR. For them, it's a way to figure things out as to who do they want to work for, what kind of purpose is the organization having, do they want to align with that or not, or also as a matter of fact, who do they want to trust, right? The thing which has changed is that this particular generation is very demanding, right? We tell these folks on a day-to-day basis, not just tell, maybe there's a preconceived notion that you have to be ready for the organizations that are there. Let me tell you one thing, the organizations are, trying their best to make themselves ready for you guys.
Yes.
So that's the change that we are also trying to have. I have discussions with early career talent on a day-to-day basis, and I'm telling you the change that I get to see. Not that I'm, in terms of age and everything, I'm only a few years apart, but the change that I see is that they are able to see where does their skill sets lie, right? Where does their interest lie? Do they actually want to pitch in there? It's not just, as a matter of fact, it's not just that, you are giving them work or a job and they'll be able to take that. No.
they are willing to say no if it doesn't align with their purpose or their mindset for that matter. And that's the change the organization has to align with. So kudos to you guys that you are in that generation and you are able to question. At Bira 91 especially, we have something called as hiring for humility as well as audacity, right? When I say one of our top 9 values is irreverence, wherein people who are, people who are brave enough to question the authority and ask the right questions and ask them why is it happening in the organization, what is the purpose behind it. All these things are being asked by you guys, right? So that's where the change that is coming because of this generation primarily is the fact that what we had back then in terms of ESG for that matter is not just a formality anymore, but it's becoming participative, be it in terms of anything for that matter, right? Having that said, what we also get to see is cultural introspection is building up within organizations, not just for employees within, but the talent that comes from outside as well are able to see that change, right? So I think that's a very good change that these people are coming in with, and the major fact that we need to primarily look at it is the fact that you should never stop asking questions, because once you do that, only then you are able to align with the purpose of the organization and they are able to improve according to that as well. Thank you.
Hi everyone. First of all, I want to ask, what is the criteria? I am sure there are 480 plus students. So are these guys having less attendance? That's why you have called them on a Saturday. So let me know the reason why only limited students and what is the common factor for being here from IIM Kashipur. Okay. Secondly, the question is regarding their sense of acceptance about sustainability and ESG for that matter, what government is doing and what corporate is doing. Let me take you 5 years back in 2020 and 2021. These generations who were sitting at home have seen blue sky, clear waters, green environment when people were not out because of COVID restrictions. So they know the importance, first of all. They have seen, we have not seen. Okay? I'm from place Gurgaon. Okay. So we all know what happens in November and December and January. Okay, our AQI is beyond 500, 550, 600 for that matter. But these generations have seen for the first time in 2020 and 2021, so they value that. Point is, how can they relate it when they go from the campus and join organization, which I totally resonate with Professor Kamal Ganguly, that there has to be certain window apart from internships. And frankly speaking, I have my senior fellow HRs here. Interns, when they come here in summer internships, not, I'll be randomly guessing a number, but I might be right. 80% of the organization don't take internships seriously. Okay, when interns come, are they getting a live project or just to do things which I could not do? My boss was giving me this task and I wait for an April and intern come, okay, this is your task. Am I giving this to my intern or am I giving a proper live project where he takes back with a selfless attitude that this is nothing, 2 months, I cannot get output from an intern. Okay. So internships, I guess, is just a tick in the box, and in 2 months, seriously, Professor Weber, nothing can happen. It is just a 8 weeks window where you all, the first year students, will come to corporate, just see how we work, which all departments are there, and nothing else. You will not take away anything. Rather than that, you should have a separate window in one semester or any trimester, maybe, to have corporate projects where they link what they are studying and what is actually happening in offices. Okay, it can be some data analysis of certain live business problems. Okay, they tag along with an industry, or you have an industry chair where that industry come to IIMs and I'm Kashipur for that matter, and give their live business problems and do a case study competition. So the problem here is what they are studying and the linkage. I don't know when did I use a square plus b square plus 2ab entire my life after standard 8. I have not used that formula ever. Okay. But unless or until you guys study, you guys are having a lot of curriculums, lot of subjects. I guess 30 plus subjects must be there. But if you don't relate those things, you will be lost when you come to campus. And it is the responsibility of not professors, of you guys, that you need to make that environment that you need to leverage a particular window where you can know what corporate is doing. Okay. And last, I'll just say, only for students, don't give easy time to your professors. When your professors enter your class, they should be afraid that what question I might be getting from the students. And you know what breakfast you should have in the morning as IIM students? Not vada pav, not chole bhature. You should eat economic times. If you are eating economic times, all your professors will be on toes. And the environment which you create at the start of, I don't know what time your classes starts, maybe 8:30 and 9, 7:45. If you discuss the morning economic times with the professors, you unknowingly level up your professors as well. That will benefit you. Okay, so just I wanted to bring this point so they are aware. We both need to leverage that how industry and institute like IIMs can collaborate and give them opportunity much more than internships.
Excellent. On that note, I'll just add. So, sort of we have an MBA Analytics 2-year residential full-term program, and we have a dissertation component in which across the entire second year, students actually work on a problem. They do a dissertation, which is this thing, and we, we want them to work on industry-oriented projects. So there's an industry person who comes into the dissertation committee, and they work on the database analysis. Something like a hands-on experience that is there. But I think the idea of having an industry chair and more cooperation, most welcome. Yeah.
I disagree slightly with what Akshit said. I think internships are good when you have a good mentor. So as HR people, our focus is, at least I would say this in the last few organizations, the focus has been primarily about identifying who the mentor is going to be, what he or she is actually going to give as a download. Because earlier, like he said, it used to be just closure of projects. And we would actually get some basic research done, some competition benchmarking done, some kind of Naukri CVs called randomly, some information pulled out. But I think we've made some journey there, because now it's no longer about getting that task done. While that task is still getting done through a lot of students, but those students are the ones who are not paying attention to what they are, investing their time in. So it's a conscious effort to identify where you are headed, who is your mentor, what are you going to get out of that internship, because 2 months is a long time. I mean, maybe his projects are longer and mine are shorter, but there are lots that we can get done, and we've been doing this consciously. So there is no internship that I approve in the organization without the mentor actually submitting what is it that they want as an outcome, how are they going to contribute to that individual's life during that 2 months, and what is the takeaway. And then there's a whole 360 feedback that we take from the students to identify, did they really inculcate what was to be imparted to them? Second is also their feedback on the other departments of the organization. So I don't know if you have heard, but there is an institute called Vedika, which does specifically for women students. And they have this program called Shadow. And in that Shadow, we don't give them any work. Now they have these shadow programs where they are just with us for those 8 weeks. They are sitting with us through our meetings. They are sitting with us through multiple leader-led meetings, but all created through the shadow owner. So if I take up 2 students every year, then it is a 6-week program that I built for them, wherein I will request my marketing head to say, okay, there is the student, please let her shadow. While it is specifically for women leaders, there is a conscious effort to make them also shadow male leaders, because I mean, ultimately we will all learn from everyone, right? And I strongly believe brain is genderless. So, we are just physically born with the attributes that we have. So shadowing, whoever you have to shadow has to come with the meaning. So that is a very, very meaningful program that I've been part of for a while. And I think if students are given that opportunity, they will be able to make a lot of it.
Thank you. And, thank you for that question, because I honestly feel and fully believe that we're at this very interesting juncture of, everything as a philosophy that ESG needs to drive, right? I think for the first time ever, there is a governance model which is holding, where investors are holding organizations responsible. There is a whole generation holding corporations responsible. And I feel like there is a little bit more investment, therefore, that corporations are doing in structures, systems, processes. So I think we're at this very amazing moment, I think as leaders and as future managers and leaders within organizations, right? I think having said that, I represent a company called Godrej, and I come from the Consumer Products Division. I think we like to call ourselves a 127 young company, right? Young company. And I think if you look at a lot of our philosophy, and if you look at a lot of the intent, part of whether it's ESG, you would see that the operating philosophy for the organization is as people and planet besides profit, right? I mean, that's literally what we do. If you look at Godrej's involvement in the country's freedom movement, right? One of the first soaps that were made without animal fat. We take it a step further. Probably gender neutrality as a concept started for us when we had our first gay employee back in 2010. When India was still trying to decriminalize, unnatural sex under Section 377, right? So the intent was always there. And, over the last couple of years, what has this meant? It's meant that we've been able to invest in a structure and really go back to grassroots level sales and manufacturing, because at the end of the day, we're an FMCG company. What does not change is that we've had traditional manufacturing, we've had a traditional sales model, right? So what does it mean to go back and question a lot of the way in which we were doing things? I think today we're sitting at an opportunity where, one, we're definitely re-looking at how we are hiring talent, attracting talent, and that's definitely representation is slowly becoming a very big differentiator for us. Secondly, we've also started looking at how we make our products. As a consumer products company that's in home care, personal care, fragrance is a very important contributor to our product making. So we're now starting to see how can we have more representation in our R&D panels, in our consumer insights panels. That's also helping us, get competitive advantage in terms of product. We're also looking at marketing. I mean, you're a consumer goods company, and mass media is a huge channel, right? It's a channel for either reinforcing stereotypes or creating change narratives. So you will see us as an organization now getting on this journey of what we call trying dads, where we want to slowly ungender even caregiving as a role, right? If you look at it, it reflects in the practices. I think the piece that continues to stay as dilemmas are when you have this interplay of different generations in the workforce, and generations more because these have been tried and tested methods that have led to a certain cost model, a certain profitability model, a fear of maybe trying something different or trying something new. And I probably go back to what Professor was saying when we began, right? I think the other piece that you should take for granted is this ambiguity is going to be a continued space. And And I'm sure we have like a head of a business sitting here, where it all chickens from. But you've got to be able to thrive in a space where ambiguity is going to be a reality. And you will need to learn how to build structure, how to make things scalable, how to pilot, pivot in a very large organization too, right? So I'd say that it's going to put a lot of our own generational beliefs. I'm sure you all come as a generation with your own set of beliefs and a certain way of thinking and working. That's also going to be challenged within an organizational structure. We come with a lot of veterans in these spaces who will be challenged maybe by your thinking and ideas that you bring to the table. So I do believe, I think the ability for organizations to look at ESG a bit more holistically than just talent is going to be like important, right? Like end-to-end supply chain cycles, for example, when we're talking about environment. Stronger governance models for various communities, that we have for like the board. Again, we are one of the few organizations that has a gender diverse board, for example, right? So I think the ability for organizations to be able to look at inclusion as not as a vibe, but really as baseline is going to be an important aspect of us also being able to attract talent and retain talent in the future.
I think a lot of my fellow analysts have already rightly said, and you mentioned a lot of stuff around Gen Z's empowerment has actually made the organizations rethink, on their strategic part or improvise their processes as well. Starting from probably, the example of internship, which was actually given, I believe that it is a mutual responsibility of both the organization as well as, you students as well. Put in their efforts in order to make that learning count. Because even that 2 months or 3 months or whatever period you are putting in, that's still a substantial period for you to learn. And that will certainly give organization a relook at their processes as well. Coming to the part of the climate or the identity, which the ask of the question is, I believe if I recall certain areas where my organization where I worked with one of the FMCG brands and then currently the manufacturing brands as well, I have realized that a lot of compliances which have actually come, they are also driven from the generation B as well. Be it around the environment, social governance part or the sustainability. Sustainability was more of a report which was actually published. Now sustainability is a core value as well as a part of your employer branding schemes. Most of the organizations talk about sustainability because of the the force which has actually come from this particular generation, the way they actually think. I'll talk about one of the examples which was followed in my previous organization, where we were able to substantially reduce. So this is an FMCG brand, and we were able to reduce the water utilization ratio to a substantial extent that we reached number 2 position in the world. And that's primarily not because of the compliances, but instead because of the users, consumers like you, who have questioned on the sugar part or on the water utilization part from the ground level. So, these extensive efforts around climate or even on identity part, probably, a lot of inclusive practices have started. That's primarily because of the empowerment of our Gen Z and the organizations which have started to relook into those matters. So, the way you people are thinking, I think you just probably need to, have that thinking hat. You need to wear that constantly, because that's something which is empowering you and making the organizations also relook. The same way you go ahead, I think the entire, the curriculum also has undergone a change in the recent few years, as Professor has also rightly mentioned. So that's how I think Gen Z is certainly making an impact for us.
In a positive way.
Of course, in a positive way.
So I'd like to hear from you, because I think so. real estate and construction is one industry that I think so in the ESG circles is often seen as a, as a, what to say, as a dirty business. But, sort of my own, sort of engagement with ESG has told me that probably it's an industry which has made headway more than many other industries, right? So in that circle, let's learn from you and then we'll go to the hiring guys, right? So I just got to know that probably insurance has hired 21% more than last year. So insurance is one of the maximum industries, where these guys would be interested. So Ajay, we'll come to you after this. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Professor. I think you rightly said that there are a lot of notions about real estate, maybe not more headway in ESG. But let me say that including Kalpataru or developers like Godrej or Mahindra have done a lot more than what other companies have done in this area. I think Gen Z today forms about 75% 30% of the global workforce, right? And I think in India it's even more. I think in our organization, the Gen Z contributes to at least 30-35% of the entire workforce, right? And I think 75. I was when we were coming for this event, I was going to underline what it says that 75% of Gen Zs, or the millennial survey that did in 2023, wanted to join an organization which is more driven towards ESG or climate initiatives. They don't want to join an organization which is a profit-making company. They want the organizations to take a very clear stand on environment and social issues. I think particularly it's also, I think someone took this topic that of the Gurgaon was anything, right? I think these guys have grown up seeing these social or environment issues, and that's why they want to join an organization where there is a purpose or value-driven mechanism, right? They don't want to join an organization which is it's more of income, right? And these guys are actually driving it a bottom up, right? In our organization also, let me tell you, when I'm interacting with, in fact, ESG is part of our onboarding training. On the first day, there is a lot of things which happen, and we take a lot of inputs from students who join us as well. And I think I would like to say that students today want to be part of an organization which is more solutions driven, not problem driven. And I think I think the future leaders who are here, I think I would like to say that tomorrow when you join an organization, I would love to see many of you making a lot of things in this area, right? I think real estate, coming to real estate, what we are doing particularly in ESG, is much more than net zero. A lot of you can see from a climate perspective today, there are hours within the day where they're actually not doing activities which affect the environment, despite while the business continues. But there are a lot of such initiatives which someone said that there are regulatory requirements also, there are various frameworks also there. But I think more than the frameworks, what is important is that what we as an organization has to deliver to the society also. We have certain moral responsibility also. So I think real estate in this way is doing a lot much more than what other industries are doing for from an ESG perspective. I think the Gen Z, to be honest, has played equal. I think our ESG lead is from one of the IIMs only. I don't recollect, but I think the person is really driving good change.
Ajay, we'd like to hear from you.
So you were asking question from particularly from insurance background. So can you?
Yeah. So how does the insurance industry, look at this whole new generation coming in? Because insurance is a business that we generally relate a lot with, the health. Right. So it's an age-driven business, and so their perspectives could be different.
So for me, it's been 13 years plus since I am associated with Neo, which is a standalone health insurance company. The change which I have been coming across from so many years, like COVID has taught us many things, right? So although we were part of essential service and our offices were fully functional, and that time specifically, the new generation people were there in the team. They raised up their hand and they came up with doing things differently, and that's what given thought to our MD and CEO that who truly believe that we not want to be in health insurance only, we want to build an institution, right? And that's how we launched new function called Talent Academy 2 years back, right? So through which we have hired 700 plus people from this generation itself. Primarily because that take a lot of effort to change the mindset because our industry basically deals into business, right? Though we are into health insurance, we talk about health management. Ultimately, we need to generate business itself. So, new generation, they come up with the new ideas, new point of context. There have been traditional business which was almost at a stagnant, like it was not growing, right? So, after introducing this, we have grown last year in terms of business by 32%, and in terms of covering people, we have grown by 48%, right? So this is again, we are expanding and we are looking more to introduce new generation, new as people, right? And your earlier question was about
Gen Z and how we are.
right. So starting from internship, at some places it is only 2 months. So we have certain functions, analytics, actuarials. We have 6 months to 1 year internship also, right? And obviously, basis on the internship, they give live project. It's not like a pending project that need to complete. And basis the outcome, we have taken approximately 10 people as a full-time employee also, this particular quarter itself, right? So that's what the change they are coming up with.
Excellent. I'd just like to swing the pendulum to the other side. I think so what these youngsters are also interested in knowing, right? So how are organizations looking to address skill gaps? Or sort of preparing for future roles, because we are living in these times of uncertainty. Ambiguity is going to be here, but I think so every business is about projecting a future, trying to forecast what it will be like, and we have a plan about what will be the future roles or the skills that we need. And I think so that's hard hitting to them, that's what they want to hear. And maybe one of you would want to start. Sure.
Okay, what I'm gonna say might sound a bit contrarian, but contrary to what Professor asked, I think more than rebuilding onto skills, what we really need to do is reframe the confidence. And why I say that is primarily because the future that holds the skill sets that are required primarily is not about how much do you know, right? Or what all do you know for that matter. It is basically to have an understanding that how well or how quickly are you able to adapt to the changes that are happening around. Everybody might be saying that you are the future. I'll say something which might confuse you. You are not the future, guys. You are already the beta version of the present. And when I say that, the world is already running. They just want you to jump in and hit the ground running. Nobody is going to wait for you to come ready, come and join in a particular role and be ready for it. It's not going to happen that way. You will be pushed in water, you will have to learn swimming by yourself. So that's how it works. And when I say that, primarily the whole thing where I'm trying to say, the whole thing that I'm trying to summarize is basically that how quickly are you able to unlearn, relearn is what is important. With clarity, with empathy, and having a vision what you are looking at, right? In these times, we are talking all about AI, what AI can do, how will we optimize, humans. It's more important to be ready for what, AI, with the help of AI, are we able to optimize onto the skill sets that we already have or not? Right? And how well are we able to adapt to those changes is what is important. Just to give an example, in my organization, primarily, the skill building is primarily threefold, right? When I say so, number one would be, creating curiosity before the curriculum, right? Ask why before getting on to how. That's more important. Why is the business trying to solve this issue, right? That's more important. How you will learn by yourself. That's number one. Number two, learning in the flow. Don't think that for this project I need to be ready first, have a 6 months course done and then I will, volunteer for this project. No, that won't happen. You need to invest your time in a way and get into the chaos and start structuring things once you are in. So don't wait for being ready for it. Just jump in this entire chaos that's there. Clarity will come by itself, right? If you have the vision there. Third and the foremost thing that primarily on top of my mind is coming is mentorship marketplace. These days, especially in my organization, we have something called as we can borrow talent for gig projects, right? When I say so, from some other team, let's say we have some data visualization project happening in supply chain. A guy we think that would be able to do, who is already in the sales department, would be given that project. And what does that do? It gives you the fungibility to move across within the organization. It adds to your skill sets as well. So that's where you need to be, adaptable and flexible enough to be able to contribute and be future ready. And that's how you become future ready. Okay, not by adding on to, learning only about AI, what is it doing, so on and so forth. What skill set you're learning today might not be relevant 5 years down the line. So what's important is be ready to adapt, quickly unlearn and relearn and keep on changing the rhythm. That's it. Thank you.
Professor, I just have a small thought to share with this group, and this is something that I've done live, and this is as of 15 days back. We are building this plan for 2028. We want to go public, etc., etc. And we said we gave this input to a few leaders, and we gave it to a few Gen Z folks, right, of same teams. And we said, okay, marketing head will find out what it means for their department in 2028, and what does it mean for individual functions. So a very interesting data came out. The junior most team members and the freshers that we have on the team actually came back listing the number of tools that could replace a few job roles that were prevalent. And this didn't come from the head. So we were very surprised that, the head only knew of the tools that were available today, didn't really spend too much time studying, while the other person actually went in, did detailed study, said, okay, these are the tools. What they didn't do and where they lagged, and I think this is what probably students should start thinking and freshers should start thinking, is they left out the entire commercial angle to it. For them, it was only about availability of tool. It wasn't about whether the affordability is coming in or not. So I think the general notion of getting into something to simplify without a commercial element was broadly missing. The second thing that we identified was that they wanted the organization very bloated because they weren't willing to really see if they could put in additional hours, while the head, who belonged to a different generation, actually assumed that he and his team members, or she and his team members, would typically put in those long hours to get us to that number, while the other individuals actually gave us a very bloated organization. No right or wrong answer. I mean, of course, we are still debating on whether we want to lean on tools, we want to lean on people, we have the monies, we don't have the monies. But that's just how the two generations thought.
Yeah. So I think because I represent the technology side of things, right, and we do technology for a living. What we have been seeing over the last so many years is technologies have been changing, right? But the pace at which technologies are changing is right now like multifold. I mean, when I started somewhere in late 90s or 2000, it was, I'm sure you might have heard about mainframes, right? And then a lot of things like Java, I mean, things kept on changing, but still there was at least 4 5 years of life that they had. Now, if you look at AI, automation, just a couple of years ago, we talked about Gen AI. Then there are multiple flavors of Gen AI and so on. We're talking about now the governance side of it, because a lot of ethical things are also associated, security and so on, right? So I think, as she said, and I really like what you said. I mean, you have to just get into the flow because you will not be ready anytime. Things are changing. You have to really change yourself on the ground. What I still believe is some of the basics, which I learned when I started my career in IT, was 3 words: flexibility, learnability, and adaptability. If you're flexible enough to really change, like a lot of times what we face is someone is saying, oh, I'm expert in this. I will not change. But at some stage, you will become obsolete, right? Which is neither good for the person as well as for the company. So flexibility, you have to be really flexible to understand what is changing in the market. What is the customer expecting, right? Second thing is learnability. So again, on the job, once you get into corporate world, you will not get these kind of colleges, right, where you will do courses. Yes, people do take breaks and all, but at the end of it, you will have to learn on the job. You will have to get your hands dirty. You will have to do a lot of unlearning, relearning. Third thing is adaptability. How are you changing? As we all understand, it's a VUCA world, and the VUCA index is very high. Maybe 10 years ago, it was still VUCA world, but okay, I mean, some things were still in our control. Now, I mean, nothing is in our control if you look at the current market scenario, right? With whatever is happening in US, the talent supply, I mean, it's changing rapidly. So it's a high intensive VUCA world where we have to ensure that the culture is given to the employees where they are actually learning about some of these basics, how to really adapt yourself. Are you really customer focused? One thing which I am very passionate about is customer centricity. When you are serving a set of customers, do you understand customers' problem? Or you are just doing what you are told? Again, it comes to this generation, which is very good in asking questions. They are very curious. They don't stop themselves, right? So they ask questions. They will understand, okay, they'll ask, okay, why we are doing this? Why we are not doing this? Because customer is maybe doing this in next 2 years, which is very good because you are now becoming more and more customer centric. And then at the end of it, we are all as leaders problem solvers. Technology, industry segment, whatever we talk about, whatever function we talk about, our job is to solve problems. Do we understand perspectives of different people? Do we really take them into consideration when you are taking some decision, right? So all that comes into picture. With all this, I think there is a lot of focus that we have in our organizations in terms of upskilling, reskilling. AI is being used to prepare customized training plan for employees based on what all trainings they have done, what kind of projects they have worked in last, say, 10 years. It is creating customized training plan for them to prepare themselves for next at least two years, because after 2 years, we don't know what is going to happen, right? So at least for next 1 or 2 years, can you have AI being leveraged internally for solving or at least minimizing the unpredictability? So that we are doing. Another thing is, I think the very important thing is also your work ethics. That I think is still going to continue. It's not that technology is going to change everything. I mean, the basic work ethics, the professional approach that you have towards doing your work, your own integrity, your own personal beliefs, value system, are they aligning with the organization's value system, culture, and so on? I think these are some of the things which I feel are combinedly we have to focus on this. The good thing is a lot of things are happening in most of the organizations. Yes, we all need to learn from each other in terms of what additional the other organization is doing and pick up from there. So these are, I think, my thoughts in terms of the filling the skill gap. But believe me, it is because I know the business. It is really tough in today's market in terms of first of all ensuring that the employees are fully tuned to the changing needs of the industry in terms of technology, in terms of the industry knowledge, and so on, right? So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the L&D partners, they have a lot of job to do in today's scenario.
Yeah. It's not like you learn the tango and then you go. You have to learn while dancing. So Shaveen's waiting.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry for that.
No worries. Okay, I'll build upon what Vishal and Ambika said. I'll tell you something about BMW's hiring strategy or hiring iota. You talked about skill gap. So at BMW, we don't hire for skill, we hire for characters. And let me take an example. All our MBA students here, be honest to yourself. How many of you can explain balance sheet to me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 40%. That means good sample size. The entire IIM Kashipur, 450 students, 40% can explain me balance sheet. What I'm trying to put it here is business acumen.
Yes.
I'll tell you an example. My CFO is a non-finance person. My marketing head is an ex-finance person. My sales head was an HR manager. Okay, and they have routed my succession planning to corporate sales so that I can sell BMWs to these fellows.
No wonder we're getting the free weekend offers.
So why I'm telling you, at BMW, whenever any young person in terms of young experience at BMW make any proposal to the boardroom, we ask simple one question: if it was your business, would you bring this proposal? If yes, then it's fine. If it's no, don't waste your time in PPTs. So your business acumen, and right now I just gave an example. You will be called MBAs, Master of Business Administration, and if you can't read balance sheet, if you don't have, and believe me, as an HR student also, an HR practitioner also, I need to tell my senior management the ROI of any activity which I do. Be it training, be it engagement, be it my hiring strategy, be it my campus and employer branding. If there is no ROI, and if I don't have that thing in my mind that, okay, I can correlate certain things, that why, and very nice, Nidhi said, we have a why culture at BMW. We ask always first question why, even to my manager and even to my management, that why are we doing this? And as young people, when you will join organization, you should make yourself like, have you seen gears? One wheel move, then the other wheel move, then the third wheel move. So in organization, it is like that. Your input in HR can be reflecting somewhere down the line in other functions. And believe me, majority of us are HR professional here. In HR, unlike assembly line, I'll take an example of assembly line because I've been in automobile throughout my life. In plant assembly line, when we see a car, and if there is a defect in any of the, like, boot is not there, we quickly identify that car come out of the line, we fix it, and that car again goes to the same line. But in HR, if we do something, to judge whether it is right or wrong, it at least take 10 years. So believe me, it becomes all the more difficult for HR practitioners that whatever you are proposing, will that be valid for next 10 years or not?
Okay. And sitting in the VUCA world.
Exactly. And believe me, we cannot judge any HR policy or any HR interventions in just one day, that it will give you fruit or not. So the chance of error has to be very less in HR. That after 7 years or 8 years, I don't want to listen from my new colleagues that ek Akshay tha,
kuch kar
gaya. So it's very difficult. So all those students who are in HR and will be taking HR, it is not an easy world for you as well there. Be it sales or be it marketing, no bash there. But this I wanted to put, rather than skill, we should build characters right here at 2 years spending time, because no one is judging them. No one is giving you performance appraisal out of rating. You are not getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are not getting increments. You are not being judged. So spend these 2 years in building characters and building business acumen. Yes, Ambika, you're saying something.
No, this is it. I think you were fantastic about it, because typically it is who you are and what you stand for, and how are you contributing to the business. He rightly said, any one HR decision. I mean, we just close appraisals every year, right? Whatever are our inputs that go to the CEO and then go to the board are typically outcomes of what it would mean for leaders and the entire organization. So any wrong judgment call there can really cost people big time individually on their careers, but also affect the organization's health. So I think the balance between the decisions that we take, and it's about, like he also said, it's about building your own character. And what does our character really mean? What does our value system around ethics say, around integrity, so on and so forth. So as long as we are clear about identifying something as small and as big as any fraud of 1 rupee is equal to a lakh is equal to a crore, I think somewhere we are establishing very strong footprints for the organization that nothing is tolerable, right? So I think, and these are very small inputs. Now, this is just about fraud. The same holds true for a code of conduct. The same holds true for a POSH, right? So it's about what tolerance level do you want to build individually that you want to reflect in your organizations. So I think that is in continuation to whatever he said. Thank you. Sorry.
So I think most of it is covered, but I would like to build on what Vishal and Ankita has said. I think today what is happening, like Vishal said, that the pace at which the corporate world is changing is very fast, right? I think a lot of it, I would the World Economic Forum says that a lot of jobs needs to get replaced. It's about 50%. I think by 2027, I think about 50% of jobs need to be reskilled or upskilled. And I think the way companies want to change this, I think it has to be redefine hiring. I think today what organizations are looking at is more than the tech skills. How you can adapt, collaborate, empathize, etc. Right? I think there are global conglomerates like Amazon, who's actually investing billions in upskilling their 3 lakh workforce. Right? There is I came across Infosys. They have an internal portal called as Lex, where about 27 million courses have been completed so that their workforce can be future ready. And I think it's today. I think organizations are looking at not only degrees but potential, right? What potential and this collaborating or empathy or other attributes that you bring to the table. So in the skill gap, one needs to, for an organization, it is completely into how you can become a learning organization, and it's how you keep investing in this. I think I will leave thoughts behind this, that if for you all guys tomorrow you need to be future ready. In this, there are so many tools, right? For you to upskill yourself. A lot of things will not come in your economic times, right? You have to kind of be there on those sites. Where I think there was something which Ambika said. There was a incident where a young guy got those things. I think that is something which one has to look at, because one day you will be given a chance, and if that can prove something, it will be the day for you and will redefine your career.
Can I just add something? I know
Sure.
I've probably done my turn.
It's a round table.
Yeah,
You just have to speak
because
only
with all
once.
this, I just want to also, I think, say that it's not that everything is bad, or the entire scenario is going bad for you. You should take a lot of stress or pressure or so on. I think it's all about taking things head on. And I think, I'm sure, because all my HR fellow people are here, there's a lot of focus in most of the organizations around mental health part of it, because of late we have been seeing a lot of news around someone probably dying by suicide, or some pressure is there on corporate side, whatever. I mean, I don't think and some of these things probably are exaggerated, but there's a lot of focus from organizations on also trying to see that there is a right balance in terms of the mental well-being part of it, right from the start, so that I mean, while there is a VUCA world where there's a lot of pressure, whatever industry will get into eventually, but there's also a focus from most of the organizations on this aspect also. So I just wanted to comment on this because I think we're all talking too much about VUCA and so on, right? So there is enough things happening from organization level also to ensure that there is right balance also. Thank you.
You wanted to go? Yeah, and a very important aspect as well. And I think we should touch upon that a little bit more as we progress in the conversation. If I just had to come back and look at the FMCG industry, like I said, traditional sales, traditional manufacturing, law doesn't change. But I think over the last few years, honestly, we've been forced to create like AI lab. So as an organization now, we actually have a full-fledged team that is helping us become a lot more relevant to consumers, to international markets. They're building a lot of intelligence for us in the systems that help improve sales and manufacturing. If I have a look at sales and how does really learning happen in sales, right? I mean, for any FMCG company, your ability to be able to look at other developing economies, see what's on the shelves, how are their shelf spaces expanding, and what's your new product. Like for example, we just launched Godrej Pet Care in April this year, right? And that was just an outcome of a lot of group of I would say the sales transformation team. I'll talk a little bit about now the importance of transformation teams in sales and manufacturing. A young set of management trainees who had careers in, general trade, modern trade. We send them on a lot of market immersions to other developing economies to be able to notice what's expanding on the shelf space. Incidentally, it also kind of coincided with some statistics that we have on India's lower fertility rate, as well as the need to be pet parents, right? So I think that became a sweet spot. Plus, we have an animal feeds business. So I think that was an amazing project that came together where we saw a lot of the young tenacity of mind, observation, the perspective to be able to include external research, as well as having a generation that's supporting with what is the most viable business model, how can we leverage, the strengths that we have as a group to be able to create a business, right? So that's how a lot of just the upskilling and the learning on the market side works for us. Manufacturing, like I was talking about sales, that need for transformation continues to exist. We're starting to see the same thing in manufacturing. So now we're seeing some of our core functions have a center of excellence within themselves. How can how can we establish lighthouse factories? How can we ensure that we're digitizing? What is going to ensure that our cost to distribution and cost to market is going to get a lot lower? Does it make sense to actually set up an integrated facility vis-a-vis having 30 odd factories across the country, right? So I think there are these centers of excellence that are getting built. And it is important. It is important for one to do that core plant manufacturing stint or a core general trade stint for us to be able to contribute into these transformation roles. But these become very interesting roles. And therefore, what we realized is that a lot of learning is actually happening through this transformation process, right? And so while there could be a Coursera and a whole lot of courses that are available for one to learn and grow, what we realized is we have so many of our own journeys at different levels in the organization that has contributed or unlocked something important for the organization. And that's what gave birth to this whole idea called the Godrej Learning Lab, where we started, where we have different leaders, different project teams coming together, creating bite-sized information on what was their project conceptualization journey, how did they go about it, What were the outcomes of the project? What were some learnings, right? So if it's a project that's a success, that's great. If a project that didn't take off very well, it's also great. But they've all found some shares, and we're actually co-developing this with Harvard Business School. We have, professor from Harvard Business School is actually helping us do this because unlike a lot of business schools that went into bite-sized learning post the pandemic, there were one business school that actually built a community of online learners much, much ahead. So there's a lot of learning again. So how do we make learning interesting, right? So I think while the organization will continue to kind of work on some of these pieces, I think just two pieces of personal advice when it comes to upskilling and staying relevant. I remember about 4 years ago actually, when we were sitting just like this in a conference. I used to work with Great Place to Work back then as part of the consulting team. And our CEO was very particular about a thing called Learning Saturdays. So every Saturday, Prasanjit Bhattacharya would call us all and he'll say, okay, it's time to do a Learning Saturday. And I remember this one question he asked us, he's like, oh, great, so how many of you actually spent about 5,000 rupees in this last month going and visiting some of the latest restaurants in Mumbai? And needless to say, a lot of our hands went up. And then he asked us the second question, which was the multi-million-dollar question, saying, how many of you spent 5,000 rupees in learning something new in this last 1 month, right? And yeah, so eating something new was yes, which is good for your business. But learning something new was, so I think learning is a two-way street. The organization can keep providing you tools, it can provide you every single platform, but if there is no initiative, if there is no, I would say self-motivation or a drive to want to stay relevant, then I think it's not really helpful, right? And I think the second learning that I want to leave all of you with, and I learned a bit later in my career, is it's very important to keep developing alternate sources of income. Yeah. And also applying your skills. So keep testing your skills. Give yourself that journey and runway. Like I started in sales, moved to HR. I then moved to a consulting organization where they said you have to do sales, and I said there's no way I'm going to do sales. And
Thank you for saying this, because the first sentence felt like you said बहुत कुछ करो, and I was like dual employment, triple employment. I mean, you're already dealing with it.
Moonlighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So test all your skills out. Test all your skills out, because it's very important that I didn't realize that my ability to make a PNL in my previous consulting stint with Great Place to Work, where I said, okay, I want to have a practice of my own. This is what it's going to mean. This is what it's going to look like in 3 years. My ability to do that has now resulted in making sure that as DNI, we're not a cost center, but we've been able to identify state governments which are incentivizing ESG compliances to advise our teams on saying, let's build our next unit here because this could be the benefit package that we can get, right? So I think it's very, very important. It's a very undermined area is business acumen. No matter which function you are in, your ability to convert that into tangible business benefit that is sustainable. Yes, it's hard to talk about climate. It's great to talk about LGBTQ rights, but the ability to bring that back and make sense in the business is going to ensure it stays long after you're gone. Yeah. So that's just one thing that I thought I'll leave you with.
I think thanks to all my fellow panelists for sharing a lot of beautiful points that has already been covered. I'll be very precise and short. I think FMCG and manufacturing space where I'm mostly associated with, what we have seen is when we actually do our manpower planning and we probably tend to align our talent strategy, we realize there's a skill gap, which is what all of us are talking about. So we as an organization realize that probably there are 3 roles which are in existence, which we'd be either hiring for, or we would be probably replacing it with the current set of people. So these roles were around emerging roles, transforming roles, and phased out. And when we are saying that emerging or transforming or phased out, these are basically the kind of roles which we were actually either hiring for or we were intending to replace our existing set of people with these roles. So what we have realized is, when we hired for the people who probably, would be an expert in certain niche roles which are emerging, over a period of time, these roles have been moved into a phased out category. Similarly, the roles which were transforming, they actually transformed to a certain extent, and again they also moved back into the phased out category. So this is basically a circle. When we are saying that probably you'd have to be technologically savvy as well as utilize artificial intelligence, and now there are different versions of Gen AI also which has come up. Something which will actually remain constant is your human centric skills. So while this is already pointed out by a lot of my fellow panelists, that something which you have to keep in mind is adapting to these skills, because something which is emerging now or is transforming now might be phased out in the near future. But what's going to stay relevant is your human centric skills and your adaptability to acquire those skills as well.
How do you stay in touch, That's regularly is.
I just was thinking about this, so we've swung the pendulum from one side to the other side, right? But I think, sort of with this generation and, with the current state of business, if you don't put the monkey, if you won't get the monkey off our back, and we talk about AI and ethics, I think so there's no discussion about talent, HR, job market is going to be complete. So, I think, one of the things that these guys want to figure out, right, they're hearing a lot about AI. It's also something, and they're a generation, which saw the COVID world, which has taken them online. But AI is probably something that they're struggling to figure out what it really means for businesses, especially on the ethical side of it, right? So there are ethics side of it. There is, sort of a lot of, is AI going to come in and do a surveillance on me? Like, what is it really, what does it mean? Some thoughts on that, sort of probably, sort of would be this thing. Because I think so, for them, the last year, and the job market means that, they are getting a narrative, the popular narrative is AI is eating jobs. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think you are right, Professor. Over the last few visits to various campuses, and I was telling this to somebody earlier in the day, students are scared. And in continuation to what Vishal also said earlier, I don't think there is anything to fear. He mentioned the human element that we all carry. That's going nowhere. That's going to remain, right? Who is going to remove the bias that a machine is going to create? And it's not like AI is going to be adapted immensely and hugely by every organization. Our friend Sandhya here works with Godrej. They have huge, deep pockets, right, to invest in multiple COEs, multiple AI ventures, right? You are in a position to do it. Is it true for my organization? Maybe not. It is true for the parent Bharti Airtel company, but not for multiple businesses of theirs, right? So I think it's important to identify where are we using AI, what is it that is getting disrupted by it, and not to feel threatened by it. I think it's such a welcome breeze. Of course, we'll come back to the ethics part of it, the bias part of it, and then the human rights part of it, right? Because that's a reality. We are living on data, and that data is very private to us. So what could happen to our customers could happen to us as well through various organizations. But having said all of that, I don't think the fear needs to be there. So AI, fearlessly, I think we should be adapting to it and looking at what it means for our organizations. And in the same breath, I'm going back to mental health, because a lot of this is causing fear and anxiety. I'm a mother to a 16-year-old daughter, and I visit her school for counseling sessions to various students, and not only her school, actually a few more schools. And what is surprising is parenting is becoming very, very tough. And I'm sure it is because children are anxious, and that is translating to campuses, that's translating to our office spaces. So I think we should at least fearlessly remove the fear out of here. COVID happened, we survived, we're all here. So I'm sure we will survive the other waves as well of things, and we'll move forward. So I think this room should at least remove the fear of AI before we enter into this discussion.
I think I'll just build on what Ambika said. back in 2000 and 2005, a lot of people were talking about nanotechnology. From 2005 to 2010, then came data analysis. 2010, 2015, when we were students, Power BI.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, since last 3 years, AI. Okay. So these are tools that will be there for some time unless new tech will come and replace AI. Okay. But ethical dilemma and being morally right and being giving value to our moral compass has to be there, no matter what. Okay, I get a lot of get into a lot of fights with my dad. Okay, because I'm a family of HR. We are 3 brothers, and my mom and dad all are HR. Okay, so my dad is from generation where my dad worked for UNICEF, and the department was personal and admin department. Okay, then it came to HRD, it came to HRM. Now we are BU, people and culture, BU, HR sales, HR commercial secretary. Things have changed, but the basic of being people centric, what he said, has to be there. And my dad said one very nice thing, Akshay. Whenever you are in dilemma, whether you are taking a decision in life, in organization, anywhere, think of one scenario that next day in newspaper your name is written and your name is being used for that he or she has done this and this is not right. Okay, will you allow that? Will your friends, will your family, will your relatives allow that? If not, don't do that. Okay, and I'm not fond of because we have we have a hiring partner here who is leading one of the Alcobev company. A lot of being in Gurgaon, so in Cyber Hub, Ambika was also there a year back. A lot of startup are coming that we'll create 5 Ambika Wadhwas, and you can take 5 interviews simultaneously to save your time. Okay, there are tech these days which will create an AI image of Ambika. She will put in the questions, and you will not be able to realize that that person is an AI or a real Ambika. But I don't know whether I have seen that tech myself at my organization. A startup came and pitched it up. But I think hiring is the base of building a culture. If I don't interact with that person whom I'm taking and betting on my trust, my culture, my tasks, my business, I don't know how it works. Maybe it will work after 2 years. There will be a very nice technology which will be better than what it is right now. But I still think that there is a gap. So I think these tools will come and go. Okay, what is necessary that how we can respect people working in organization, and sometimes if it is violating or taking a deviation from your policy, you can, because it is about people. Policy are just guidelines. You can deviate certain people policies if someone is in need, be it in terms of mental health, be it in terms of, suppose you have a manager or not even a manager, an employee who had a very tragic accident and our leaves are only for 30 days. Will you deduct his salary? If 30 days he or she has absorbed, will your moral compass allow that, okay, that person is on bed ridden for 6 months? So we need, at the end of the day, if there are policies, but there are deviations as well. Okay, there has to be a people-centric approach that yes, these are certain rules, but as an HR, I think we can manage for some special cases. But yes, at the end of the day, we have to be people-centric. These tools will come and go, believe me.
We must hear from technology on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think again, There is a very one statement which is I think going around the rounds for last few weeks is AI will not take your job, but someone who knows AI will take your job, which is correct. So in whatever function, like obviously I am from a core technology organization where AI has to be integrated in our delivery. But even in other functions, I am seeing because I also do a lot of sessions on AI in sales, right? AI is getting more and more integrated into all the functions, whether it is HR, whether it is marketing, a lot of market intelligence which happens right as part of marketing that uses AI. We talked about hiring. The first phase can be easily done by AI. You don't need an individual to look into things. Correct. A lot of resource management teams where you have the demands, which talks about ABC skill, and then you have a talent supply. It can easily do a matching purely on technology. You don't need an individual to go and check in the system, right? So that is the first thing. Now coming back to your question about ethics and all, there's a lot of focus from most of the organizations, even governments, because it can be used wrongly in a very, very hazardous way, right? So there's a lot of focus on ethics part of it, security part of it. Most of the countries, they have come up with their own AI laws, guidelines, regulation framework. Our own organization, there is an AI council at corporate level as well as all our individual business groups. They have their AI councils, where typically it is headed by someone who is very senior. Our CEO and the board also is heavily directly involved into some of these aspects. So I think it has to be used correctly. I think in the previous topic we are also discussing about use cases, right? Do we have enough use cases? I think that is one area where we all need. I mean, in individual functions, we need to look into that because AI can definitely help us improve productivity, efficiency, etc., etc. And then our real, as you said, human-centric, right? And creativity can be applied in something probably much more business-intensive area, or maybe improving things in any of the functions. So I think that is important. But there is a lot of focus on ethics, laws across most of the India also, by the way, has a law on this. Then GDPR is Europe, right? So America has come. So pretty much all the countries have strong laws. They are evolving because you don't know, right? Today you have created certain guidelines, some other violation will happen. So you have to keep on evolving. Use cases are very important. I think you all need to think about it from a technology perspective, from a function perspective. Also, as I think you talked about surveillance, right? So yes, if you really see a lot of transactions that we do, or we talk to someone might be probably knowing about that where you are not aware. I mean, we all know, right? If you contact today, say an insurance, you want to get a quote, and suppose I contact you, maybe 10 different companies will call me in next couple of hours. How do they know that, right? If you do a banking transaction or you are probably applying for a loan, other loan companies will, yeah. So a lot of so there is probably an aspect that has to be looked into. I'm sure a lot of technology companies are doing that. They're in fact creating a business out of it. But there is a lot of focus. There has to be a balance in terms of how we use it. The moral side of it, the ethical side of it, security side of it is very, very important. And I think all of us as current leaders, future leaders, we need to really look into that aspect.
And for all you know, AI bias officers might just be a new role opening up.
So it is. So by the way, a lot of organizations,
they have these councils, but
yes,
that is
AI ethical officer is a role in some organizations.
Fantastic.
AI security. So there are separate small units being formed to focus only on this.
Yeah. I also get to hear that probably we're going to have a national policy around
Yeah,
this in the next few
yes,
months.
yes.
Probably months away.
See, good thing is a lot of now because there's a lot of focus on this even at a government level. And good thing is a lot of our new age politicians, they understand these aspects, right? So they know that it is important and they are focusing in different forums.
So, for what Vishal said, I would like to build upon that. So, so today there is so much happening, rapid changes happening in the, AI automation surveillance, right? So, what a lot of global conglomerates are doing, what India is going to do now. I think one important thing is that most of the organizations, will mandatory needs to have a AI ethics board. All right,
Yeah.
or when where this role, etc., will come into play. And I think a lot of giants like Microsoft, they have a Office of Responsible AI. Okay, Meta keeps I think reporting this transparency report, how they capture our data, etc. Even banking, for that matter, HSBC uses various algorithms, where they bring transparency to how the credit reports are being checked, etc. And I think with ethics, being there because of this rapid change, one thing which is very clear is that a lot of CEOs are not looking this as a mandatory requirement and are not going to look at it as a mandatory, but as a business advantage. Because I think this will only, bring a lot of resilience in the long run. Also bring transparency amongst customers, and also attract good talent in a way, right? And I think a lot of new roles around this will come, and I think there is a lot of business advantage when it comes to this particular topic as such, and I think India has to make a lot of runway. But I think with this national policy or etc., which is going to come, things will definitely change the way today we are looking at AI. That is
Yeah, actually just two pieces. I think one on the creators of the AI, right? And I think, but I think first things first, there are a lot of operational inefficiencies that exist in us as large organizations. Don't worry, it's going to be a while before AI really takes on the job market a lot, because it is a matter of time. It is a matter of really understanding where AI can be applied, right? Because the AI is only as good as the application, and then to be able to identify where it can get applied in scale and therefore create impact is a matter of time. So I think I just wanted to put that piece to rest in at least some of the traditional sectors, which are, say, not the disruptive sectors like tech. Having said that, I think the one fear has always been, and I think the one onus on the creators of AI needs to be, and this is where I think intersectionality is going to matter much more than ever before.
Yeah.
How do you have a set of intersectional coders, whether it is with respect to region, religion, age, gender, ability types, right? Because I think the one fear that always looms is AI going to create more marginalization than there already is today, right? So I think there is this one side of fear which actually looms from the fact that are the creators intersectional enough to be able to account for the various intersections that could exist, even in, say, hiring for that matter, right? Like sometimes when you look at a CV, you could very easily take off a certain non-stereotypical candidate who could come through that hiring channel, right? So I think somewhere, the intelligence to be built for intersectionality is going to become even more important as we are progressing, so that it can truly add value and not marginalize. I think how it's put to use, so it is also very interesting. I've been struggling with a little bit of a shoulder issue, and I'm an endurance athlete, so I've been trying to train for a full marathon. And I'm at this age where I'm like, okay, slowing metabolism is a real thing, and body fat percentages are important. So I have 3 different specialists who've been giving me 3 different, kind of indications to this. And I had some time on my drive to Kashipur today where I just fed ChatGPT all of this, and we had an honest and clear conversation. And what came out was a nice 6-month integrated plan on what my nutrition, my issue with early stages of cervical spondylosis and training for a full marathon could look like, right? So I would say that, what we've been doing within our function in DNI is we've been looking at AI as a team member. So, AI is that additional team member that when somebody tells you, okay, when the R&D department is on a hiring spree and they're saying, okay, now you want to integrate persons with disabilities, this is the great time, right? But how do I know which pharma colleges in India are going to be the best when it comes to having accessible, inclusive education? So you have persons with disabilities there. So our team uses it a lot for research. DNI is also storytelling becomes a very important part of what we do with DNI. And therefore, we've been using a lot of AI to be able to create stories, create our narratives, create presentations. So yeah, I think it is going to be more important to learn how to use it to be able to drive more efficiency and more lateral thinking just within the teams, as opposed to living with a fear that's going to drive you, to the corner of the room. So don't be afraid. Like just start using it. And I'm sure a lot of you use
ChatGPT, I think
yes.
everyone is
Ask me.
So finally, you are going ahead with that plan or not? Because I'm sure
That's a decision on the way back.
You are the ethics officer here, right? Who is kind of regulating how students use AI.
I wonder if I should answer that or they should answer that. But yes, sort of. So news to you guys. So one of the batches, I gave them a ChatGPT output and said, "This is what AI has answered. Now tell me how you could answer it better."
that's a good way of sort of
challenging thinking.
right? So
I'll keep it really short. So just to add on to what Sir also said, that I want to put my view forward here that AI is not our competition. It's just here to make our work, whatever that we do, better and make it more efficient, right? Adding to the ethical dilemma that is there around it, somewhere Sandhya also touched upon that. AI does not have value. Values only people do, right? And that's where we need to look at what kind of algorithm is being, worked around. What that person is coding, primarily his or her values are getting encoded in the AI tool, right? So I think it all comes down to the point that the people, what kind of ethics or integrity that they have, that will remove all kind of biases or ethical dilemma that might be there in place. And I think where we need to draw a line is if any sort of dignity or integrity is being questioned or is being compromised, that's where we need to draw the line. And that's
I just asked ChatGPT synonyms of artificial. I think you all should listen to it. Insincere, false, unnatural, pretended, exaggerated, overdone, forced, strained, overdrive. So are we relying too much on something which starts with artificial, or we can just use it as a tool right now, and when we can totally rely on our creativity and our innovation much better, because these days I'll not use the word unfortunate, but I am handling one of the Gen Alpha right now. He's straight from the campus. Okay, 2004, 2005 born, millennial, late millennial.
35% of my organization is 2005 born.
2005 born. Okay, so I think I need more training to handle him. Okay, and everything, even a simple mail to me, like please find the attachment. The Excel sheet is written in 3 sentences. It's written in 3 sentences. Dear Akshay, dear Akshay,
you would spend another half an hour decoding
dear
the email.
Akshay, I think you are doing well. I'm sitting next to him. Dear Akshay, I think you are doing well. As discussed in our previous conversation, this, please find attached the detailed input here. Please find below the snapshot of what Excel sheet says. Regards.
This is very good, Akshay. You can't complain.
Just give us the contact.
But in my days, I remember, dear Ambika PFA, regards Akshay.
Now it's like IDK.
So he's actually making a male body with ChatGPT. And he's asking me, I hope you are doing well. I'm sitting next to him. So I guess we should not rely too much on AI. We should use our something which God has given to us, which is common sense.
Natural intelligence.
Okay. Yes. So I just literally I wanted to know those synonyms of artificial and then relate to what we expect from you when you come organization. Don't rely it on too much. It's just a tool.
Okay, I think a lot of interesting conversation has already happened. So I'll be really quick here. I think a couple of thoughts I want to share. One is around the AI disrupting the market, affecting jobs. To me, yes, of course it is, and it will continue to do. But what jobs are these? Are these the jobs you should be afraid of? I would say no. Why so? Because the kind of curriculum we go through, even in our days when we actually used to go through this stringent curriculum, which has, I'm sure, revamped to quite an extent now, is such that that human-centric approach which I just mentioned is already there in you. So you don't have to compete with AI, rather utilize it as a resource. Just like as future managers, you get the work done from your resources, AI is one such resource, where you have to build on this resource by your human-centric skills. Second, talking about the ethical dilemmas, I think a lot of organizations which I've already heard of, they are actually evolving in this particular space. There's a concept of algorithmic transparency which has also come up, where they will be inculcating within a particular AI tool how transparent is it, how is it following all the norms, the regulatory bodies. So this is like one of the emerging space which I've actually called out an emerging role, and before it actually gets phased out, this is certainly one of the skill gaps which also can be looked into and can also be built in.
Also, just to add, I mean, already whatever guidelines we have within organization, it is published on our website. So we have to share, we are sharing it proactively in terms of what are the guidelines when we are supposed doing something on AI, so that all our stakeholders, I mean, internal obviously, but external stakeholders, they are aware what are our guidelines, what are our typical do's and don'ts, what is the framework that we follow and so on. So I think as you said, I mean, that whole transparency aspect has to be there. At times, if suppose we are creating, say, just going more technical, someone is writing, say, a piece of, say, a code, and it has a lot of, say, Gen AI or AI aspects, they are discussed with our customers. And these are the aspects that we are using. Because see, at the end of it, AI runs on a certain data, right? That data governance is very important. I think you talked about it, right? Unless you have the right data, it will keep throwing, like in your case, you might have fed something, right? But it will keep on improving. The more and more. So data quality is very important. What kind of data is being fed? What is the consistency? So a lot of those transparency aspects are already coming into picture.
Your input is equal to your output.
Yeah. As I think we used to say, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage
So
in.
same. But yeah, I mean, it has to be taken seriously.
Very interesting. Reminds me of the last Teachers' Day. I got a lot of Teachers' Day wishes, but they all read the same. Only the name was different. So saying, sort of. But what I'm finding is also, I also realized that probably it was not an easy way of doing it. So a lot of people were afraid because I'm a very strict teacher. I'm known to throw people out and catch on mistakes a lot. I think so people wanted to wish, but they were afraid that I'd scold them. So they were just finding a way to do it better, sort of what you said. So, I have a long list of questions that I should have, discussed. And the best that I can do in the interest of time is invite you to a round table again. This has been very, very interesting. I don't know how much they learned, but I'm sure I'm going to teach them a lot about what I learned today. So, it's been a great time, but I think so now's the time we should hear from them, and I think so you guys are also waiting to it. So can we have the mics rolling out, and can we have the students asking their questions or clarifications?
Like, how does the organization, hi, my name is Shubham Raj, and how does the organization manage people-centric approach and also cutthroat competition at the same time? It takes a toll on mental health of the employees.
Okay. He's not taking the name. Anyone can
I
go.
can take it.
I mean, I can.
Just take it.
You can take it.
Okay, go ahead, Ambika. So cutthroat competition is a reality, and if it is not going to exist, I don't think any of us would be having fun here. And I'll give you an example to what Sandhya said earlier, right? How do you ensure that your skills are fungible and evolving at the same time to be put to use of the organization? So who is it? Are you the person who the organization is leaning on for anything new, for anything that is under the radar, for anything that is a crisis at the point, right? So if you raise up your hand, you're up for it. So reward of good work is always more work. And that's what I tell my team members as well. So it is about who's putting their hand up first and who's available. As managers, we will come across multiple team members. So I say this with an example. Out of 10 people, 3 will be fantastic, 3 will be average, the other 3 will be probably below average. And when I say this, I'm only talking about their output that you need to deliver as a team, right? It doesn't include any of their individual preferences that we might have. And one of them would typically be anybody who's easily biased, influenced, and could fall into any one of these categories. As a manager, who would I lean on? I would lean on somebody who I can pick up the phone at 12 a.m. should there be a need. And that's typically how crisis is managed in any organization. There's always 20% of the organization called the critical spine that is dealing with absolute crisis and progression of the organization. So how does one get there? If it's not competitive, then all of us are belonging in the same journeys, right? And this table here is full of people who've been given opportunities, probably out of line, opportunities because someone felt we could contribute to some crisis. All of us are very young leaders, right? So the answer is right on the table. Crisis management and competition is a reality. We'll all have to deal with it. Of course, without forgetting that there's an economical balance that we'll have to create within our workspace as well as home. Sometimes you might want to address your personal life and put your professional at the backside. Sometimes you might want to prioritize your personal life more. Sometimes you might want to focus on your professional life. So it's the choices that we will make which will typically help us identify where we are. We have a business person sitting here. Ask him how he looks at talent.
Yeah, maybe.
And also how he manages mental health.
Yeah,
Mental
so
health is a reality again.
see, I think anyway she covered pretty much. It's like, see, one of my previous CEOs used to say, if you are having this kind of issues, oh, I cannot take calls at, I mean, leave aside 12. There are people who will not take calls after 6. There are people like that. Then you are not for a bit. You can walk outside of the room. So,
and there is nothing wrong about it because we all have personal choices.
Your priority. Eventually, it's about your priority, your personal choice, your own span of control, which really, what things really excite you, etc., etc. And I just sort of pick up, I think a lot of discussions happen around 70 hours and all, right? I was actually in that company, an amazing company. It is not, I mean, number of hours, first of all, is nothing to do with your efficiency or your performance, etc. As long as you're passionate about what you're doing, you will eventually live with it. Whether it is competitive, whether it is you are put under a lot of pressure, if you are really passionate about it, you understand the context of the problem in which you are thrown, you will come very, very positive out of it. And giving positive outcome to the organization also. But yes, there are also, as I talked earlier about some of the areas where organizations are now actively focusing is the mental well-being part of it, right? How to create that kind of culture where, if suppose you have a problem, like she talked about a personal problem, are you confident enough? Are you comfortable enough with your leadership that yes, I have a problem, maybe there is a genuine problem, and can I just get out of this for 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever, right? There will be enough space created, even if that happens, as long as you have really contributed at a certain level. So I think there is enough balance that is being made by organizations. But yes, it is competitive world. We are all here for business at the end of it. And I think we talked enough about VUCA world. So
things will go that way. It's about how you adapt to that, how what really uh, inspires you, right? That is very important. You want to add something?
Yeah. Okay, actually, we'll take the next set of questions, but I want to talk about mental health a little bit before we go. But go ahead, we'll finish the other questions.
Yeah. My name is Mona Nisha, and first of all, it's an honor to be a part of this conversation. Basically, we had this conversation about Gen Z, right? And I myself am a part of Gen Z. And when COVID hit, I was in standard 12, and this transition from 12 to college was online. And we, as a whole generation, got into this habit of working in our solitude, like the comfort grown into us. And now that you take people from our generation, is the stark difference you notice from the people you hired 5 to 6 years back and the people you hire now. So there must be some difference. And now that the Gen Z is very, very vocal about their mental health and stuff. So what's the difference you are actually noticing?
IDK. Yeah. So I think, very honestly, what we're dealing with right now is a bit more aware generation, like compared to the workforce that at least today at Godrej we have. I'd say that we have a lot of colleagues. One, as an organization, we have a lot of policies, like you have EAPs, right? You have a counselor on call. Plus, you ensure that every week you're communicating about how somebody has access to support at work if they need it, right? So this whole piece of awareness of mental health is very clearly one gap that we notice between the current generation that's entering the workforce to the generation that has been in the workforce for long, right? Because I think the mindset has always been no gain without pain, right? Strive, like those, there's no way you're going to move up without that 1 a.m. kind of work call. But even back in that generation, we did have a lot of other people who would have alternate thinking and saying that it was important to lead a balanced life, right? So I think the generation before this kind of weighed out certain trade-offs, and the trade-offs were probably a bit more lopsided then, because if you just look at, not assuming everybody's socio-economic class here, but if I had to look at my parents, I think they started off literally at the base of the pyramid, right? So then it was really about putting a roof over their head, ensuring that, so their needs were very different when you look at the hierarchy of needs. Today, we are sitting with a generation in our workforce that has had a lot of access. And what access also does is it's a double-edged sword, right? Like I'll give you, because access also creates a lot of social pressure. Yeah. Like at Great Place to Work, we had a policy of 100, 100, 100, which meant 100% of the information is available to 100% of the employees, 100% of the time. I knew what my CEO's salary was, the CEO knew what my salary was. My colleague knew what was my percentage of KRA achievement by the end of the quarter and what bonus I made, and I knew this. Now that kind of transparency can also be very, very stressful. Yeah. While it's great, and organizations can say we put all out there, but for an individual it can be very stressful. And I think that's what we're seeing as maybe a bit of an experience in this generation that's coming in that's more aware, that has had a lot more access, and therefore suddenly when you're put in an environment where you're feeling challenged, where you're feeling uncomfortable, it adds a little bit more to that anxiety. I think the more we normalize the fact that all of us are not going to be permanently hired by an organization and be there forever and ever and ever, right? I think the more we normalize failure, the more we normalize the fact that all our success is not tied to an organization. Your success comes from a lot of things. It comes from your meaningful relationships you have back at home. It comes from your love and understanding of nature. It comes with contributing to society. Now your organization cannot be the single source that's feeding all these needs. So if you're expecting this from your organization and then sitting for 10 hours on digital screen, not getting adequate sleep, etc., that will also have an impact, right? So I would say that one, don't put all your successes in one bucket. The organization is not the be all and end all of your life. You have various facets of life, and that's very important for each of us to kind of explore, right? And while organization tools will always be there, it's very important to understand that yes, you are a generation that's come with a little bit more access and awareness. So learn the tools that you need to deal with such situations, especially on things that make you anxious, on performance conversations, on pressured situations like crisis management. It will be very important that since you've had this awareness, that you also learn proactively on how to learn the tools that will help you during these situations.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there's a lot of focus in, again, most of the organizations in terms of work-life balance, I think, extrapolating towards this. Because maybe when we started work, I mean, life was work. Life was work. I mean, all my friends, they are coming from my different organizations where I worked on, right? So, but maybe things have changed. As she said, we have access to not many other things.
No, but I think there's also some part of it, right? When you are early in your careers, that's when you are actually focusing a lot more to learn and then to deliver. Like today, if I need to take a day off or a month off, I don't think it's stressful. I don't think my manager is ever going to ask me, please put your leave on the system and I will approve it. And, half of it will be leave without pay and the other will be paid. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because you build that credibility. So I think somewhere what Gen Z is not able to identify, and I'm not saying it in reference to any individual, but I think there is a little struggle in making them understand that credibility is an art. It's going to take some time to build. So build that relationship at your workplace so that you're able to focus on alternate other priorities, which probably didn't exist in our time. And I don't think we missed it either. I mean, I've become a pet parent 2 years back, and I'm trying to answer why I didn't do this earlier in life, right? So it's also the right time to introspect and see that you don't have regrets later on a lot of things that you might miss. So do take time for all of that, but work can't be no focus. I mean, we are spending 10 hours, 12 hours at workplace. So either, if not at workplace, you're traveling to your workplace. So you're thinking work, you're coming back work, right? So I think somewhere that balance has to be created, and it's very individual balance. It's not for someone else to guide or influence.
And so it also depends on certain phases. So it's not that continuously you will be working, say, 10, 12, 14 hours. Like suppose if you're setting up a new business, obviously you have to focus on it. I mean, then maybe even 16, 18 hours probably would be norm. But there would be phases where you know that, okay, I've achieved a certain thing. And you have the confidence, you have built the credibility. You can obviously
and sometimes it's not your project, sometimes it's an org level project. A website launch has no role for an HR person to be sitting there, right? But the joy of seeing that team deliver it together is fantastic. Supply chain head nahi hai, it doesn't matter. Why should the HR raise up their hand, go manage factories, right? So I think we've all done little of those stints.
And that's the fun part also.
Correct, and that's how you understand business, like he said. So you will need all of these skills. At that time, I don't think if there was nothing pressing at home, would it be right to just say, okay, I don't want to do it? I mean, somewhere that balance will have to be created. And we're all building our careers, after all. So somebody, and that funnel keeps growing lesser, right?
So guys, I think so this is time to move into phase 3. Phase 1 was we were talking, you were listening. Phase 2 is an interaction. And I think so the mics have gone down, conversations are more, sort of one-to-one, informal. So I think it's time to end the formal and slip into the informal part, right? And we can, so I hope the conversation's gone. So those who had questions, please reach out to us. We'll get into the informal mode. But, there'll be a word of thanks, but, so I just want to say, so lots of learning. So guys, I picked up, ambiguity is here to stay. Competition is real. AI is a tool. And yes, we have to learning the two-way street, right? And guys, I think so what matters the most is that, if AI and things are coming in, it's the coder who matters. So are you the guy who's going to set the agenda, contribute to the agenda, or you just want to bear the fruit of it? I think so. That's what I picked up as the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right. So thanks a lot to all the panelists. A round of applause.
As we conclude this inaugural edition of Sangam, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guests, esteemed faculty, and enthusiastic students for contributing to an empowered and energizing day of dialogue. Under the theme Work 360, we reflected on shifting patterns of work leadership and human experience. Today's discussion served as powerful reminders that shared wisdom and collaborative insight are key to navigating uncertainty and seizing opportunity in rapidly evolving world. We began with Ms. Nidhi Bhatt from Era 91, who reminded us that Gen Z isn't just adapting, they are leading with purpose. She shared how the 9 values of Era 91 shape hiring and how learning never really stops. We must unlearn and relearn. Most importantly, she made us reflect on using AI ethically and intentionally, not just efficiently. Ms. Sandhya Ramesh from Godrej brought home the need for gender neutrality, true inclusion, and embracing ambiguity. She spoke about creating Godrej's learning lab and how the will to learn can drive transformation. She also showed us the power of connecting finance and HR to build more holistic organizations. Mr. Ankit Sharma from Cosmo First made us rethink sustainability not as a checkbox, but as a mindset. He spoke of hiring for the roles that are emerging, evolving, or phasing out and adapting our skills. He reminded us that AI isn't a replacement, it's a resource we must learn to work with. Mr. Ajay Pal from Nivakupa showed us how collaboration between academia and industry is key to shaping tomorrow's talent. He spoke about evolving world of health insurance and what it means for newer generations. His message reminded us that even the most traditional sectors are ready for reinventions. Mr. Vishal Augustya from Fujitsu emphasized the power of adaptability, upskilling, and staying consumer focused. He left us with the powerful thought, AI won't take our job, but someone using it might just take our jobs. And he reminded us to chase success, yes, but not at the cost of our mental health. And also, sir, I would like to mention that you were the great mentor in our internship and we learned a lot.
Thank you.
Ms. Ambika from Gourmet Investments shared that internships should be more than tasks, they should be mentorship journeys. She spoke about the delicate balance between tools, people, and investment in building strong cultures. And like others, she encouraged us to view AI not with fear, but with curiosity and collaboration. Mr. Rakshit from BMW brought in a people-first perspective, saying character matters more than just skills. He called for stronger ties between corporates and academias and for building a workplace that asks why and not just how. His belief in valuing people over policy is something we should all take forward. Also, sir, answering your question that why these are the chosen ones. So this is our this event is live streaming on YouTube and not just our whole batch, but our alum base is also with us during the whole event. So, but yeah, they are the special ones who can ask questions and come here and attend in person. And finally, Mr. Suraj Shetty from Kalpatru spoke about why solution-driven companies are attracting Gen Zs. He stressed the need for constant reskilling and how AI will bring transparency and not just automation. He left us with the hope that roles change, new opportunity will always rise. To each our panelists, thank you for your generosity, wisdom, and candor. Your voices have sparked ideas, challenges, assumptions, and inspired us to work not merely as a function, but as a platform for impacting learning and purpose. We also would like to extend a very special thank you to Professor Prabhu Moria, who have expected to moderate the session with full enthusiasm. From here, we will give you more
self-written notes.
Than with ChatGPT.
And no
Yeah,
chat.
actually, I like the way, I mean, you were taking notes and just at the end you had summarized for all of us in terms of the key takeaways. Thanks for that.
Yeah, voice recorder on the chat GPT.
Now we
नहीं,
would
but
like to
immediately
request
उसको summarize
Professor
करने
Vishal
की
Augustya, Dean and Development, to present a token of gratitude to Suraj Sethi sir.
Table can be in the background in the photograph.
Maybe some नीचे चलते हैं.
हाँ चलते हैं.
We would like to request Professor Kunal Ganguly to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Ajay R. Singh sir. We would like to request Professor Sonia Chakravarti, Dean Academics, to present a token of gratitude to Akshay Rakshit sir. We would like to request Professor Somnath Chakravarti, Dean Academics, to present a token of gratitude to Sandhya Ramesh ma'am. Okay, sorry. We will now request Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placements, to present a token of gratitude to Ms. Nidhi Bhatt ma'am. We would like to request Professor Utkarsh, Chair of Placement, to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Ankit Sharma. We would like to request Professor Deepak, Chair of Placements, to present a token of gratitude to Vishal Augustya. We would request Professor Deepak to present a token of gratitude to Ms. Ambika Wadhwa. As we bring Sangam to a close, let this not mark an end, but rather the beginning of more such thought-provoking conversation and lasting collaboration. Thank you once again for making this great gathering truly meaningful. Wishing everyone a safe travel, and we look forward to welcome you all once again in our campus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we move everyone to stay here for a group photo?
Just
stand like this, or do we come there, or do we want to do the photo?
Maybe there because there are more space there.
This will be better. This will be better. This will be better. So Sangam and the back. Let the photographer decide. Let the photographer say. All of this will have to go to the social media. I'm a back bencher. Those were the front desk people at the back. I want to fight.
Sir, can you please come closer?